to illustrate this?
Yeah, you see right here, you got
Welcome.
Let's go.
Wrap up presented by Allstate. And ladies and gentlemen, it has happened. Texas is back. They have beaten Alabama. I'm Skubie Mageza here with Sam Ravech, and we were watching the game just like everybody else in the college football world. Alabama has fallen to Texas. Quinn Ewers had himself the game of his career. Sam, wow. Thoughts on the upset, on the game? It was something else.
It was special. First off, let me say I was absolutely wrong. I think I need to address something here. In the college football show earlier on today, I said that Alabama was going to win by 2 touchdowns. So I think I deserve to do some push-ups or something probably because I was so wrong. Texas is absolutely back. Quinn Ewers is not messing around this year. I think we have figured out that this Texas team is for real. And I think, erase what we saw against Rice in week 1 because I think they were trying to do some things that didn't necessarily fit what their identity was. They needed a opponent like Alabama to really, I think, display what this team is all about. And look, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, I mean, these are guys that are serious weapons on the outside for this Texas team. This is a statement win for Texas, no question about it.
Nick Saban's first double-digit loss at home as a college football head coach since 2003. A lot of different numbers here that have never happened or haven't happened in a long time. When I look at this game, what sticks out is Quinn Ewers and his performance. He finished with 349 yards tonight, tied for the most by a Texas player versus a top 5 AP opponent over the last 20 seasons. Quinn Ewers had the game of his life. Steve Sarkisian called the game of his life. And I look at this matchup and you think back towards last year. Hadn't Quinn Ewers gotten hurt, we probably would have saw Alabama lose to this team last year. But then Bryce Young happened and Quinn Ewers left the game.
And I think, too, when you think back about that game last year, Texas had no problem moving the ball down the field. Now, they did in the first, half of the game. I think they made some great adjustments coming out of the locker room in the second half. They went similar to kind of what we saw Colorado do, I think, in the second half. They went up tempo. I mean, they weren't messing around. Ewers was getting rid of the ball quickly. He was using his tight ends. There was a battle in the trenches, too, in this game, certainly. I mean, it was 13-3 for quite a while, and then things started to heat up a little bit. The field started to open up, and you saw Ewers start to air it out a little bit more. That's where he's special. We talk about how, the mullet's gone. He's dropped 30 pounds. He's, maybe a little bit more serious. He still plays with the same edge that he played with last year. He may not have a mullet. He may be down a couple of pounds, but this is still the same dog that Texas had as their QB last year.
Ewers, believe it or not, threw his first career touchdown of 20 or more yards down the field today to Xavier Worthy.
Which is an amazing stat that hadn't happened before.
There's more than 200 quarterbacks who have done that over the past decades, who have thrown 40 or more passes, 20 yards down the field. Ewers was the only one on that list that had not thrown one for a touchdown, and today he did. Now, looking at Jalen Milroe, he showed flashes today. I don't want to sit here and beat up on Jalen Milroe as though he had the worst game of his entire life. The Alabama defense definitely had some holes and let Texas take advantage of them, but Milroe didn't help the cause at all.
No, the 2 picks I think are concerning. 14 for 27, 255 for Milroe. But to your point, the flashes are there. It's there. Jalen Milroe is the complete package for this team and a quarterback. It's the consistency, right? I think that's the biggest question that we have for Jalen Milroe. Can he do it on a consistent basis? It seems like those mid-range throws, right? The short, outs, the crossing patterns just weren't exactly consistent enough to get it done today against Texas. It almost looked like he was more comfortable passing the ball downfield when he was under pressure, under duress. Like when he was flush out of the pocket, it looked like that's where he was more comfortable. They need him to be a little bit more comfortable and consistent in those short throws, the screen passes.
Yeah, what Texas did today was blitz Milroe a whole lot.
Like, this is ridiculous. This is a dime.
Yeah, these are the flashes that we're talking about. And when you look at what Milroe has been able to do, 4 passing touchdowns on the season, and they all traveled 29 air yards or more. When you compare that to what Bryce Young did last year, Young had 4 passing touchdowns the entire season that were 29 air yards or more. Milroe's already done that within the first 2 games of the season, but we're not going to sit here and try to say Milroe's a better passer than Bryce Young
not
is.
Yet.
Right?
Not yet. Here's my question, though, like throughout the course of the day. Do we have an answer? Like, is Texas back? Is Miami back? Are both of these schools back at the same time? I mean, look, I think we got some answers.
Yeah, I think the greats or the fans of those fan bases for those schools are really happy
They've
right
been
now
craving
because they're taking it back. They've been saying we're back for a long time, and this season seems like the right one because it's a season of last, they like to say, right? Texas is going to be making their way to the SEC next year. I mean, this is a great way to announce your entry into the conference. I mean, we had to talk about this game a lot because how can you not? It's an absolutely incredible result. A great game for Texas and that fan base. So since it's Saturday and we're a little bit turned, it's late. How about we do a little hype meter? Great by our graphics team over there.
Yes.
It's late, so we figured we would have some fun with y'all, and we're going to talk about our hype with a certain team. We'll go from high, medium, and low. And Sam, the first team we're going to talk about in terms of the hype meter is Texas.
Yeah.
Where is the hype meter at for them?
I would say it's pretty high. Yeah, I would say it's pretty high. Why not? I mean, again, this is a program that had one 10-win season in the last 13. One 10-win season. Mm-hmm. This is a fan base and a program that has everything at their disposal. Stadium, money, booster money, NIL deals. I mean, they have everything they need to compete and compete well. And for a season in which you want to make a statement going into a new conference next year, this is a statement win. And you look at also their next couple of weekends. They got Oklahoma and the Red River rivalry coming up in October. They could go undefeated heading into that.
You said that well, Red River rivalry.
Red River rivalry.
Yeah. He smashed that one.
That's what we got going on.
And that Texas defense, we've talked a lot about their offense. Their defense really capitalized today, especially with the way that they were able to generate pressure on Jalen Milroe. He was pressured on 49% of his dropbacks. That's the highest percentage in a game since 2019.
Right.
Milroe passed the ball well. He just constantly had someone in his face. And Texas dialed up the same game plan last year against Bryce Young. He was pressured the highest the entire season against Texas, and they came back with the same idea. But when you have Bryce Young, who can do Houdini type of stuff, where he literally had a Heisman moment last year in this game, where he was able to duck and dodge people and throw a perfect ball down the field. All right, let's go on to our second hype meter, and I think this one is pretty obvious as well. Colorado. Yeah, the Buffaloes are led by their quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. And take a listen at what he had to say about Nebraska's head coach, Matt Rule, after the game, because we see that it's high.
Extreme disrespect. And that's why it was the coach said a lot of things about my pops, about the program, but now that he want to act nice, I don't respect that.
Hey, one of the words for this week heading into this game for Colorado was it's personal. Strong words for the Heisman there, but when you're playing like he is right now, it is what it is. Take a look at his numbers. Just absolutely went off 900 plus yards over a 2-game span. That's the most in Colorado history. In 12 games last season, Colorado had just over 2,000 yards and 10 passing touchdowns as a team. Sanders is already halfway there. I think you're looking at one of the leaders in the Heisman room right now, at least going to get an invite to New York if he continues to play the way that he is. Now, Sam, let's take it to the ACC, where Tyler Van Dyke and Miami, you just asked that question of, are they back?
Yeah.
So where is the hype meter for Miami right now?
Well, I think the hype meter is probably going to be somewhere around the middle here.
Okay.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves because This is a solid win for Miami team against Texas A&M that, they continue to baffle with all of the talent they have on this roster. Tyler Van Dyke looked like the same quarterback, I think, that won the Rookie of the Year award back in 2021, too. He's the first player in Miami history to throw 5 passing touchdowns against an AP top 25 team. And when you think about the history that Miami has playing against good teams, 5 passing touchdowns against a top 25 team, I mean, this is a historic performance that we saw from Mr. Van Dimes today.
Yeah, and bringing in the new OC seems to be helping really well for Miami. So Mario Cristobal, hats off to him for being able to make the necessary adjustments to get his quarterback going, because last year it was a little bit of a struggle.
It was, and 3 winnable games, too, coming up for Miami. And then they go to Chapel Hill in 3 weeks. That's a game to kind of circle on your calendar there.
All right, let's keep this hype train moving. Clemson, they struggled in the first half against Charleston Southern, and it wasn't pretty, but ended up winning. But the hype level for Dabo and company, where do we think it is right now? I'm going to go ahead and say low. Listen, this game was tied at 14 at one point. Not everything was going well for Clemson, with Charleston Southern being able to recover an onside kick. Granted, as the game went along, they were able to figure things out and win by a lot, 66-17 the final. But a program like Clemson that you've seen get success over the years, you bring in a guy like Garrett Riley to be your OC. The offense just started off slow in this game against a team that they really should have gotten a quick start to. Now, I will say, Klubnik got his confidence up. He played better. 315 yards, 4 touchdowns. He entered today with just 3 career passing touchdowns and had 4 today. So, brighter light of things. I always try to look at things with a glass half full perspective, and I know Clemson is going to do the same thing. It's not all bad, but the hype level, we're just going to keep it low.
I'll take the glass half empty look at it for you. And for all the Clemson fans out there that are certainly, and rightfully so, frustrated with the way that this season has started, you have a Ferrari in the garage in Will Shipley, and he gets 12 touches today. I don't understand the usage of Will Shipley, who's a guy, again, who has proven time and time again to be a reliable, not only running back, but somebody that can go out and catch the ball. He gets 12 touches today.
So I think one of the most interesting things about Clemson, and everybody knows this, Clemson has not dived deep into the transfer portal like other teams. When you look at the teams that dive into the transfer portal, Clemson is right at the bottom of it. And other teams, we look at Georgia, they were able to bring in some wide receivers. We look at FSU, they brought in Coleman, who ended up having 3 touchdown catches in the first game of the season against LSU. You bring in those guys, and then they end up generating big plays for you. Clemson has not dived into the transfer portal, and it's the thing that Dabo's been doing for a while. He wants to generate and build from the system, go ahead and recruit guys. However, we're in a new world of college football, and not diving into the transfer portal seems like it's hurting this team, especially on the outside with receivers.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what the reluctancy is to go to it. And you see it with blue blood programs, across the country. You even see it in college basketball. Like even North Carolina and Duke, blue blood programs in basketball are still a little bit late to the curve. I don't know. I don't know what it is. If you're just, like an old head, like you're just.
That's what it seems like to me.
You know, like you're just
the old fashioned.
But then you also look at a team like Georgia, and you look at a program like Georgia, who only brought in 4 transfers this year, but like they only needed 4 transfers because of the factory that they've created down there in Athens. So I think it's a difference. I think it's an individual case-by-case basis. Like, I don't think every team can be a Colorado or every team's going to go out and do what Texas State did. I do think that you do have to look at your personnel and look at what you have and what you don't have. And then the case for Clemson, like they clearly thought we have what we need. I mean, I just think that they don't. or at least we've been shown they don't.
We've seen it time and time again. If you have a couple of holes for your team, you can grab a guy with some experience from an FCS program or any other school, and he can come and turn up for you. Mitchell did that for Texas today against Alabama. Now, take a listen to what Molly McGrath had to say on Notre Dame and what they had to do during their game delay.
This is great.
this delay definitely was less comfortable for Notre Dame. Dave Doran mentioned the first thing he did during the delay was put his players in dry clothes. As the away team, Notre Dame didn't have that luxury. They stayed in wet clothes, stretched, rested, and didn't have enough food for the extended break, so staff went to stadium concessions and got players hot dogs and brats.
Time now for Top 10 Performances presented by the Xfinity 10G Network. And we're going to show you the best players that we have from today, 1 to 10. But let's start off on the back half of the list from 10 to 6 with Carson Beck and J.J. McCarthy finishing it off for us. Great performances from these guys today, especially J.J., Sam.
Yeah, and I'll say bounce back performance too for Kyle McCord. I mean, there were some questions as to whether or not he was going to be the guy for Ohio State. I think he answered a lot of questions here today. Not so much for Cade Klubnik, although he played a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Drew Aller, a guy who is literally putting Penn State on his back with the way that he's playing under the center. Now let's move into the top 5. Take a look at this. Man, Tyler Van Dyke, 5 touchdowns on the day. And of course, we got 2 Colorado Buffaloes in the top 5 yet again, the same way we had it last week. And then we got Sam Hartman and Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's start with Sam Hartman, though, Sam. He played really well today, and his numbers are next level when it comes down to the first couple of games that he's played for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
I think Sam Hartman has kind of defined himself as the guy in a perfect fit for Notre Dame. I mean, he balled out today for the Fighting Irish. 45-24 win over NC State, delivered 286 passing yards, 4 tutties. Look, here's what he's done in the first 3 games as a member of the Fighting Irish. Get this, 48 for 64, 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, 731 yards. I don't think that he could have found a better place to go than Notre Dame. I mean, this was just the right fit for him at the right time. And he's got that broken rib, too, in the necklace. I mean, he's a wildcat. You never know what you're going to get. But this is just the right place for him.
All right, so we have Sam Hartman at number 3. He's playing really well. At number 2, you heard me talk about him earlier in the show. We gotta give Shedeur Sanders the crown.
It's about time.
Dominant, 393 yards passing and scored 3 total touchdowns. What stood out to me the most about Shedeur today is his escapability in the pocket. The way that he bought time and made plays was Patrick Mahomes-esque. And then, as you saw earlier in the show, he had some smoke for the coaches on the Nebraska side for some of the things that they said. Listen, Shedeur is now a Heisman candidate. He wasn't on the radar for everybody when the season starts, and you got to love to see those stories. A guy who has a chip on his shoulder, and I said it last week as well, Tom Brady is one of his mentors, and he's almost playing with the same fire that Tom Brady had, and he got a text from Brady last week, and he basically told him, don't get comfortable. All right, now at number 1, who we got?
We got Tyler Van Dyke, a.k.a. Tyler Van Dimes. Led the UPass Jimbo Fisher. A lot of question marks there with all the talent that Jimbo's got down there at College Station. But, I mean, this is an incredible performance. 5 touchdowns for Van Dyke, 374 yards. I'm sure we're going to be seeing them in the rankings very, very soon. And that was our top 10 performances presented by Xfinity 10G Network. Now let's take a listen to Desmond Howard and what he did on College Game Day.
I think that Texas is going to beat Alabama.
What are you going to do with that? Hit somebody over the head with it? What is that?
Folding chairs in Alabama are a real problem.
Switching gears here, it's time now for Good Hands Plays presented by Allstate. And let's take you through a handful of plays that just made you say, wow, he's got us.
Good hands.
In good hands. Starting with Troy versus Kansas. Gunnar Watson tosses it down the sideline, and Chris Lewis says, I got hands.
This was one of the better catches of the day, I think.
Woo! His hands are rated E for everyone. Unfortunately, Troy will go on to lose 42-13, but great grab. He got up there for that. Sheesh. He got stick him on his hands. Play number 2. Take a look at this one. Ole Miss versus Tulane. Jackson Dart tosses it up to Dayton Wade.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
That's a circus catch.
Get out of here.
Take a couple looks in this one. D Wade, that's what we're going to call him, showing off his hand-eye coordination to bring that one in. My boy's cold-blooded for that one. Ole Miss goes on to win at 37-20. Utah versus Baylor. Sawyer Robinson says, I know Keytron over there somewhere. Nah. Keytron just unlocked a new level of, oh my gosh. Splits the two defenders to make the play. Underthrown ball, but hey, he got up there.
Baylor on their backup quarterback too today. They were without Blake Shapen for 2 to 3 weeks, but that was a great catch double coverage.
Yeah, but they will lose. Utah wins at 2013. Ball State taking on Georgia. Caden Simonza throws the ball off his receiver's legs and it lands right in Chaz Chambliss' hands.
Kick pick.
Chambliss. Take another look at it. Yeah, kick pick. It looks like a Madden glitch.
It does. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but hey, the defender was ready. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Now, take a listen to RG3 getting the Baylor fans hyped.
They're going to race the length of the field, greet the team, and try to get the best seats in the stands. And guess what, guys? I can't wait to get in the thick of one of the greatest college football traditions in the world. I'm getting in the thick of it like Cal Lowry. Let's go!
Whoa, what was that? Kyle Lowry catching strays out of nowhere.
What's he got to do with any of this?
But look at the hustle from RG3 while leading the Baylor fans on the field. My boy still looks healthy, kicking up like that. I'm just saying. You know
impressive. Yeah, RG3 has made our Bruss segment for 2 weeks in a row now on the college football show. He's had an impressive start to the season.
Yeah, most definitely. He's having a lot of fun. Shout out to RG3. Yeah. Good guy over there. That was our Good Hands Plays presented by Allstate.
It's the Ben Shelton experience at the U.S. Open.
6-2.
Jump aboard.
For me, it's kind of like I'm saying I'm dialed in.
That was Ben Shelton at the U.S. Open saying that he is dialed in. And, you know, you got to love it because, unfortunately, for Shelton, he had to face Novak Djokovic in the semifinals.
Tough.
The Joker just jacked his style and took the dialed-in celebration from Shelton. And by the way, be sure to check the U.S. Open on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Before then, though, let's have our own fun over here.
Why not?
And check in on some players who were dialed in.
Yes. Is that for you, man? That's me?
I think that's for Sam.
What do we got?
We have a phone right here.
Who's on the horn?
Who's that?
What do we got? Hold on. Excuse me, I'm on a phone call.
My phone.
Oh, yes. Amaria Hampton.
Oh,
yes.
It's him.
Oh, you are one of the best running backs in the entire country. Yes, you are indeed, sir. Dialed in for North Carolina today. Woo! Hampton rushed 234, 3 touchdowns. Well, the Tar Heels went on to defeat App State 40-34 in double OT, Scoob. App State didn't score 40 points in the fourth quarter like they did last year, but look, UNC might want to find a new non-con opponent in the state of North Carolina. Not App State. That's a tough game. It's proven to be the last 2 years.
You would have thought they would have came into that matchup dialed in, but clearly they weren't.
Dialed out?
Yeah. I think that's what.
Is that the opposite of dialed in?
So did you just hang up on him? Like,
sorry, no. He said he had to go.
Is this him calling you back?
I don't know.
Is this me?
Yeah. Why don't you answer this one?
Hello?
It's a short, yeah.
Huh? Oh, it's Shedeur Sanders.
No way.
Oh, Shedeur Sanders,
the GOAT himself,
is also dialed in. Listen, the way that he went off today was historic. 31 for 42, 393, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. Check out this throw over here. Just absolutely surgical. Sanders becomes the first Colorado quarterback to have 900 yards within the first couple of games. And in the Pac-12, we have Caleb Williams as a guy who's being looked at as a Heisman candidate. And now you cannot turn your head to the idea of Shedeur being in the conversation for that.
Real quickly, what's amazing to me about all of this is like how wrong apparently everybody was about Colorado. Like even Vegas. Yeah. I've never seen Vegas more wrong than they were in the first 2 weeks.
So true.
Right? I mean, they're always on the money. But they even were shorthanding Colorado. I mean, I can't imagine they make that mistake again.
The thing about Sanders that impresses me the most is his mind. It was said on the broadcast because he just makes the right play so many times. Rarely do you see him make a mistake, which is why we're saying that he was dialed in. At a high level, the guy continues to answer the call.
I was waiting for another call. Oh,
you got to answer.
I was waiting for this one.
Who's this?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yeah, Michael Penix Jr. on the line here.
Oh, he's dialed in too?
It's a long-distance call from Bristol, Connecticut. But yeah, Michael Penix Jr., he's saying that he threw for another 400 yards in this game. Yeah, 3 touchdowns, 3 different receivers. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good, Michael. I'll let you go. Get back to the party out there in Washington. It was stellar to watch the lefty deal today, really over the last 2 weeks. It's been impressive, 43-10 victory over Tulsa. Trying to get Washington back to the college football playoff for the first time since 2016. Gonna have to watch out for Washington here this week. I'll tell you what, you also got to watch out for Lee Corso because you never know what he's going to say on College Game Day.
Hey. Oh, no. Wait a minute. What happened? That's not the right song. Play Texas song.
Hey, full-time fans, time for overtime, brought to you by Modelo. Let's take a look back at this Texas versus Alabama game we just saw. Listen, in the second quarter, this was a great play by Quinn Ewers. Tied at 3, he is going to drop 2 nickels. What a perfect ball to Xavier Worthy. Let me tell y'all
How do you catch
one
that?
thing. It is hard to find a ball like that.
How do you find that?
One thing that Ewers does really well is throwing the deep ball with a lot of touch. He lets his receivers get under it. Just taking a look at that play. Quinn Ewers had himself a day. And to start off the game, Alabama couldn't get pressure on him. He was not pressured on his first 13 dropbacks. And then in the fourth quarter, he was 6 for 7, 135 yards, and 2 touchdown. Quinn Ewers is now a legend in Texas, and the people out there are never going to have him pay for another drink for as long as he lives, as though he didn't have enough NIL money anyway, right?
He's chilling now with the addition of NIL money. But, yeah, I mean, here's the question I have for Texas now. Okay, you get the big win against Alabama. This was a win that, their fans have been waiting for a decade. The season's not over though. Let's not get this twisted. Texas has higher aspirations than just beating than just beating Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to go beat Oklahoma. They want to go beat Kansas in 2 weeks. They have aspirations not only to win the Big 12, but to make it to a college football playoff and win a national title. I think the expectation in Austin has always been, this is a national title contending program. But they haven't had the wins to prove it. This is a good start, but this is week 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of football that we have left to be played. Congratulations, we got the win. We got to go back to work, though.
Yeah, and got to stay healthy. That's the game of football. As the cliche, the best ability is availability. Right. And I said it earlier in the show. Had Ewers not gotten hurt last year, there's a good chance that Alabama would have lost. Now, I think back to this game right around the 8-minute mark when Texas had a 10-point lead. And for those that don't know, there's some new rules in college football. There's the clock rule change. So what they're doing now, after every first down, the clock continues to move. And then after the ball is kicked on a kickoff, the clock continues to move. So this was all in an effort to keep the game moving so it could be shorter and they could run less plays. Now, Nick Saban, he used his timeouts early.
Yeah.
Understanding that there are now new rules within the game of college football. So that 8-minute to 2-minute mark goes in an instant, a lot quicker than it used to. So my question to you, Sam, do you think that it had a play in this game towards the end? And I know that Milroe didn't play the best, but you could see that Texas was starting to take advantage of that rule and drain the clock.
I think it's so tough because I don't think that down 2 possessions at that point in the game, Alabama has a chance regardless of whether the clock is stopping. But I think it does change at least how coaches will coach games from here on out because you've got to realize, okay, the clock is going to move on first downs up until we have 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You pretty much have to be within 1 score to really have a chance. But, I mean, it'll change how we manage the clock, how we use our timeouts, when we use our timeouts. And I think we've already seen that, play out in college football through the first 2 weeks. Well, there were some really interesting plays throughout the day in regards to clock management. I mean, we saw in the Colorado game right before the half, right? The player didn't step out of bounds, but they had a timeout left, and Prime was able to call the timeout, and they kicked the field goal. Like, I think it's still an adjustment period, figuring out how do we kind of work on this clock situation.
Yeah.
How do we use it to our advantage? But you got to be close towards the end of games. You got a tight window there.
I will say, for those wondering in terms of the clock rules, this is just for the first week of college football. They averaged 66.9 plays per game in 2023. Last year, it was 68.7, so just two more plays than last year, so not much of a difference. And then the average time for games in week 1 was 3 hours and 26 minutes. That is 1 minute down from the year before at 3 hours and 27 minutes. Now, I'm sure as we get more games and go throughout more weeks, we'll be able to get a larger sample size where we'll see the effects of the new rules starting to come in. My question to you now is, can Alabama still make it in the CFP? Because we know how Nick Saban is, but this performance wasn't impressive when you get beat like that by Texas.
Well, it helps that LSU lost. I mean, that doesn't hurt. I think it's going to come down probably to that LSU game. That's going to be another deciding game. Does Alabama pick up their second loss? I will say this: we have not had a college football playoff team enter the college football playoff after losing their opening game in the season. That has not happened.
Yeah,
So, I mean, Clemson, LSU, I don't know, odds are against you there. I think Alabama losing in week 2 isn't the end of the day, especially when you consider probably what Texas is going to do this year in the Big 12. That leaves the door open at least maybe a smidge.
That is another loss for the SEC in non-conference competition. That was a topic of conversation coming out of week 1. Well, that is the end of week 2, and that was the end of our overtime moments.
And we'll see you in week 3?
Yeah, week 3. 3 is my favorite number. We'll see y'all in week 3. Thanks for watching the wrap-up presented by Allstate. College Game Day heading to Colorado next week, and we got a lot of people on our team heading to that game. We're excited for it, and we'll see you here next week when the excitement commences. Peace. Wrap up presented by Allstate.